On the morning of March 15th, 44 BC, Julius Caesar walked into the Roman Senate. He had been warned. A soothsayer told him to beware the Ides of March. His wife had nightmares. Even his horse refused to eat. He went anyway. 23 senators surrounded him. The first blade struck his neck, then his chest, then his stomach. 23 times, the most powerful man in the world was stabbed by the men he trusted most. His last words, according to legend? Not a battle cry, not a curse, just quiet disbelief. Et tu, Brute? Even you, Brutus? This is the story of Rome, the greatest civilization in human history, built on genius, betrayal, madness, and blood. And it is far darker and far more brilliant than anything you've been told. Rome's story begins with a murder. According to legend, twin brothers Romulus and Remus were abandoned as babies, raised by a wolf, and destined to build the greatest city in history. But when it came time to decide who would rule, Romulus killed his own brother. No negotiation, no compromise, just blood. And on that blood, he built Rome. The year was 753 BC. The city was nothing, just 7 hills above a muddy river in central Italy. A few thousand people, primitive huts, no roads, no army, no glory. Nobody in the world would have bet that this tiny settlement would one day rule from Scotland to Egypt. But Rome had something other cities didn't: ruthlessness. Rome's first kings were tyrants who understood one thing: power is never given, it is taken. They kidnapped women from neighboring tribes to build Rome's population, an event so violent it's now called the rape of the Sabine women. They built walls not to keep enemies out, but to keep their own people in. They created Rome's first laws, but only the powerful could read them. This was Rome's foundation: not glory, not justice, survival at any cost. And somehow, it worked. In 509 BC, Romans did something extraordinary. They overthrew their king and invented a completely new system of government, the Roman Republic. For the first time in history, no single man would rule. Instead, 2 consuls, elected every year, would share power. A senate of 300 men would debate every major decision. This was revolutionary. While the rest of the world bowed to kings and pharaohs, Rome was experimenting with democracy. But here's the genius nobody talks about. Rome's system was designed to prevent any one man from becoming too powerful. If one consul made a bad decision, the other could veto it. A single Latin word: veto, I forbid. That word, invented in ancient Rome, still lives in every modern democracy on earth. Rome also created something else the world had never seen: a professional citizen army. Every Roman male was expected to fight, not slaves, not mercenaries, citizens, farmers, craftsmen, merchants, who put down their tools and picked up swords when Rome called. And these citizen soldiers were terrifying. The Roman legion, 5,000 men moving as one machine, was the most devastating military force the ancient world had ever seen. Their secret? Discipline so extreme it seems inhuman. If a unit showed cowardice in battle, Roman commanders practiced decimation, executing 1 soldier in every 10, chosen by lottery, killed by his own comrades. Fight the enemy or die by your brother's hand. Those were your choices. Under this system, Rome did something that had never been done before. In 200 years, they conquered all of Italy. Then they looked at the rest of the world and decided they wanted that too. But for every moment of Roman brilliance, there was a shadow, and Rome's shadows were very, very dark. Slavery. At its peak, 1/3 of Rome's entire population were slaves. 30% of every person in the empire, owned by another person. These weren't just household servants. Roman slaves built the Colosseum with their bare hands. They died in mines breathing toxic fumes. They fought each other to the death for Roman entertainment. The gladiator. Rome's most popular entertainment was watching humans kill each other. The Colosseum held 80,000 people, bigger than most modern football stadiums, and it was packed every time the games ran. Gladiators weren't just fighters. They were Rome's first celebrities. Their faces were on merchandise. Women threw flowers at their feet. Children collected their trading cards. And then they died, for applause. But nothing reveals Rome's darkness like its emperors. Caligula declared himself a living god and demanded temples be built in his honor. He reportedly made his horse a senator, not as a joke, but as an insult to the Senate he despised. Nero burned Rome to the ground and played his lyre while watching the flames. Then he blamed Christians for the fire and had them executed in spectacular public displays. Commodus renamed Rome after himself, calling it Colonia Commodiana. He fought in the gladiator arena, not because he had to, but because he loved the killing. These men had absolute power, and absolute power revealed who they truly were. The miracle isn't that Rome eventually fell. The miracle is that it lasted as long as it did. But to understand why Rome lasted, you have to understand its military genius. Rome didn't just fight wars, Rome engineered them. Before battle, Roman engineers built roads, so armies could move faster than any enemy expected. They built bridges over rivers in days. They built siege weapons that could destroy city walls from half a mile away. Carthage, Rome's greatest rival, had the greatest general in history, Hannibal Barca. This man crossed the Alps with 37 war elephants in winter. He marched 1,000 miles through enemy territory. He destroyed 3 Roman armies in 3 years. At the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC, Hannibal killed 70,000 Roman soldiers in a single afternoon. The worst military defeat in Roman history. Any other civilization would have surrendered. Rome raised another army, then another, then another. Rome's secret wasn't that it never lost. It was that it never stopped. 16 years after Cannae, Rome's general Scipio Africanus took the war to Carthage itself. He defeated Hannibal on his own soil. And then, Rome didn't just defeat Carthage, it erased it. In 146 BC, Roman soldiers burned Carthage for 17 days straight. They killed every man. They sold every woman and child into slavery. They salted the earth so nothing would ever grow there again. The message to the world was clear. Cross Rome, and you will be forgotten. This is how one city conquered the known world, not just through military genius, but through a will to win that bordered on madness. So what is Rome's real legacy? Look around you right now. The roads you drive on, Roman invention. The laws that protect you, Roman foundation. The calendar you use every day, Julius Caesar created it. The languages of France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Romania, all born from Latin. The concept of a republic, a senate, a veto. Rome gave these words to the world. Even the Christian Church, the most influential institution in human history, was shaped by Rome. It spread through Roman roads. It was organized along Roman administrative lines. Its leader is still called Pontifex Maximus, a title that belonged to Roman emperors. Rome was built by murderers and visionaries, slaves and senators, madmen and geniuses. It was brutal beyond imagination, and brilliant beyond compare. No civilization before or since has shaped human history more completely. When Rome finally fell in 476 AD, the world didn't just lose an empire. It lost a template for what human civilization could achieve. And for the next 1,000 years, called the Dark Ages, humanity spent its time trying to remember what Rome had figured out. We're still learning. If this changed how you see history, subscribe. Because Rome isn't just the past. Rome is the mirror that shows us who we are and what we could become.